Hello everyone, this is going to be a video in which we are going to discuss what delta and cumulative delta are and how we can use them in trading. So delta by definition is the difference between market buy orders and market sell orders. So what it means is if the buy orders, that is the market buy orders, are more than the market sell orders, then the delta is going to be positive, something like this that we have here. This is represented in the form of a candle. So this lower panel is cumulative delta and the upper one is a plain candlestick or a bar chart. Okay, and vice versa, or on the contrary, if the market sell orders are more than the market buy orders, then we'll have a negative delta. So to have a look of about that, let us just for a second introduce bar statistics so that you can understand what I'm trying to tell you. So we'll take it out in a while. Okay, so if you see here, okay, now this part here, okay, let's go to the bar statistics and let's take this out and let's introduce delta. Okay, so this where you see delta is what I'm trying to tell you. So there was a 237k almost negative delta, which implies the market sell orders were more by this much volume. If you want to go ahead and look at this in contracts, you can also go and do that. You just have to go to format. Since this is Nifty, you just type in the lot size and there you go, and you can see is in terms of lots. So what you see here is almost 4.75k lots were sold, more than than that were bought. So this is what is delta. And what is cumulative delta? What you can see here in the lower panel is the delta that has been aggregated over a session. So it is restarting on every session. So let's go to the 9:15 over here. Okay, so this is the first candle and it gives a 385 approximately contracts that were sold more than were bought. Okay, so in this one another 146 were sold, more than those that were bought. So it just adds into the negative delta, and as soon as you see the positive delta over here, this is simple cumulative subtraction and addition. So it goes on like this for the day. So now that we're done with this, we'll just take out the bar statistics, okay, and go on to the cumulative delta part. Okay, let me get this right. Okay, now since we've discussed what both the things are, we are going to better understand this with the help of an example. Let us start with the trading session on the 19th, that Friday. That was yesterday. Okay, now what I have here is a cumulative delta candlestick chart. You can go ahead and have it in the form of a line chart as well. All you need to do is go here and have it set to line. Okay, so this is how it will be plotted. I've set it to candle. You can have the divergence also on, but I do not do that because when I do that, it tends to it's again a personal preference. It tends to get into me that you start forming a bias. So for me, I just keep it plain and simple to understand what is actually going on. Okay, so now we're going to discuss how you can use this delta and cumulative delta to spot or to understand who are more aggressive in any given session. Okay, so this particular bar would be a delta for that particular bar, and since it is being added and subtracted, so it is being done in a cumulative fashion. So for a particular bar, like there were more buyers than sellers, or more market buy orders than market sell orders, this is where we come to know, okay, this is the bar where there was significant buy orders. Okay, so let's start with the day. Okay, now the delta, as we discussed, starts from 0. in the opening bar it goes above 0 and comes back down, and this is where it is playing around for good 1 hour or 1.5 hours since the beginning. Okay, now what I want you to notice here is how we can use this. This is as everybody would let me get a marker out, and everybody would be expecting is this is a tight range. Okay, so what we are expecting is a breakout or breakdown in any fashion. Now where could you be inclined is one thing. It is always better to wait and confirm, but where could you have the bias is what this particular tool could be used for. Okay, so we notice that the delta up till this point, okay, let me draw another line here so that you can understand. Up till here, this is the low that was formed. Okay, and this is the low. Okay, now up till here, up till this point, okay, the delta remains within range like our bar chart or the price is indicating. But what is interesting is after a certain point at about 10-15 or so, we see the delta dropping significantly, whereas the price not moving. Now some would call it delta divergence. Yes, it is delta divergence, but this is the reason why I don't have it on my chart. Is you have to be very, very careful in understanding what is happening, because on a trend day, what is happening here is that the delta is moving before the price has moved. So I will just explain how a delta divergence can also be used to spot a reversal like many would like. Now why I am saying is you have to be careful is this is not moving. It's been a long time. Let us see, it's been 10:12 to 10:48. okay, and the delta on the other hand is significantly moving down, so the selling pressure is there. Now what we have to find out is how strong is the absorbing buying pressure. The limit buy orders, are they really going to step into the selling, okay, that is going on for such a long time? And obviously this is a common phenomenon before the breakout or breakdown. Okay, now this is the first time. What we're seeing here is literally a new low being made with every down bar. Okay, for the cumulative delta. And what I like to see, okay, after almost you've 2000 contracts negative, okay, is a sort of accumulation like this before, like this. Okay, before I step in and take a call to buy this market, so that I get a confirmation. Now what I would generally want out of this is this cumulative delta going a little bit up, and then there's another push down, and even though the prices are moving down, this stays here, and then a breakout, and then I would like to buy if the price was somewhere here. Okay, now in this case what is happening is as you can see, the delta cumulative delta has already moved a lot lower. Okay, whereas the price has still not breached at this point the low of the day. Okay, this candle where it hardly breaks the low of the day by 10-15 points, look at what happens. Okay, now what do we have to be careful about is the absorption that we're speaking about. Okay, now keep looking, this selling pressure isn't going anywhere. Okay, so over here I literally, and what is interesting is the selling pressure over here is just not coming down. If the idea was to absorb at the low of the day and then get it back up, this should have, slowed down a bit, okay, and not continued like this. Why? Because if the aggressive sellers are noticing or that there is some limit buying happening, this shouldn't have been happening, because in the end what we are seeing here is absolute dumping going on. So what you could do is, when this part breaks, is you could get interested in selling, okay, because this is not what should have happened. If there was actual absorbing, or the absorbing pressure was more than the selling pressure, okay. Now and then what happens is, of course, history. But what I would rather want you to see it is in a replay format, so we can better understand in what was happening at the time with the moving market, okay. So we'll go ahead to the start of the day. I'll keep pausing in between so that we can understand more, okay. So let's start from here and let's play, okay. Now see, what I'm talking about is, this is making a new low, the delta is there, okay. So people might say, yes, this is absorption of some kind happening, but we can't be sure because the price is fixed in a tight range, okay. Now I'll just pause where I feel it is getting out of, there you go, see, this is where I get interested, okay. The delta is continuously increasing, and look at the price, it's not moving. Now I am not inclined towards absorption at this point, okay, because the delta is just not stopping. Someone is really hell-bent upon selling as much as he can today, okay. Keep looking, okay. I mean, the delta is just not coming up. Look at the buy delta and look at this, okay, this one, okay. Now what also happens in an auction is that this was done to take out the weak hands of the buyers. In that case, I do not want the delta to go any further down, okay, at least not beyond maybe another up to minus 4k, not beyond that. If it is going beyond that, that means there is a lot going to be sold today. And as we discussed, what I would also like to see is the delta just forming a sort of a base here, okay. If it is really going to be absorbed, the delta forming a base, the price hovering around there, coming down a little bit but not moving that much, what it implies is the aggression is slowing down, okay. We'll see this in on the previous day, okay, where something like this, what we just talked about, happens, okay. So let's go ahead. Now look at this, look at the delta that keeps falling, okay. This is, I mean, absolute dumping, okay. Look at this, okay. So whenever, I mean, the market would move only with aggressive market buyer orders. That is, if either someone steps in or they're trapped down below and the market keeps moving. So you see this move, the delta, they're just not stopping, okay. The bar moves here, and let's go here, okay. So look at the pullback in the market buy orders that comes with this. It's barely anything, okay. And when there now you have to keep in mind, this also happens during an absorption. But what happens is that it stops, as in the market sell orders have stopped, the aggression is slowing down, and it will keep hovering as we just discussed. Now the next bar, the first pullback is always tradable for a scalp, for a short, it's always on, okay. Now where you get out is if the low is not taken out and it comes here and stops. But when you see this delta, I mean, you're expecting something even more low for the day, okay. And now look at let's continue. Look at the delta positive bars that are coming, absolutely nothing, okay. This is the first time where we see a pullback, okay, this bar, okay. So we can expect some sort of stopping volume coming in, but again, what happens thereafter is the low is taken out. So we are absolutely not sure even here, okay. There we can understand that the aggression is slowing down at these levels, as we just discussed, at about 780 levels. So we'll keep this in mind, and that the aggression is slowing down, but we cannot enter a long for whatever reason at this point, okay. Let's go ahead. Now the price moves up, the delta isn't as much as we discussed. This is very common, when after such a big down move the price is consolidating and the orders are being absorbed in case there is an absorption. So this as we just spoke about, we got a hint of this happening somewhere on this bar, okay, over here. And this is the first time we see someone stepping in who is actually moving the market a little bit, okay. Before this the selling pressure was too much. So this is where the selling pressure, as we discussed about 780s in this candle, is reducing, okay. Let's move on, okay. So as you can see, that was the first hint, but the price is hovering down here. And now this is what I was saying when I was talking about a little consolidation. So this is our confirmation that the price or the aggression, selling aggression, has slowed down. Do we go into a long? Not yet. We have to wait for a pullback, a test of this maybe, okay, because the selling was too aggressive, okay. If it doesn't and it breaks this, then a pullback up to this level would be a good long. You have to remember, yeah, you're going against the trend. So we're discussing a short, as I said, is always on over here, but this is not the first time it is pullback. There's a pullback, and we did notice some sort of selling reducing. So it's always better on this situation to hold yourself, okay. The time for shorting is probably not now because of what we've seen here, and then we've got a confirmation that there is some sort of reduction in selling pressure, okay. So let's move ahead and let's see what happens next, okay. Now do you see the aggression slowing down, okay. Now with this candle, look at this delta, okay. So it's gone down really humongous, okay, but the price here has been breached by a bit. Now what happens thereafter is of really great significance, okay. Remember, we are not interested in anything, we're just observing the market. Now this is the first time we saw some sort of selling pressure reduction, okay. Now what we want to see this is, because this is very common, a flush out is very common after this and a market retracing back, okay. So let's move on and see what actually happens, okay. There is more delta downward movements, but look what happens here, okay. There is no reduction in the price as such. So our thinking that someone did step in at the candle which we spoke about somewhere here, okay, is coming out to be correct, that someone has stepped in. Now whether this someone will be able to take the market up or not is yet to be seen, but there is some sort of stopping volume coming in at this point, okay. Let's go ahead, okay. So we see the reduction in the selling pressure. Now this is something I really like to see, okay. This part, see the consolidation happening after after stopping of selling pressure at this point, even though the delta really dropped here, but the price didn't. And look at the consolidation again. This is the second time in a span of, I mean, some almost 1.5 hours that this is happening, okay. So let's see what goes ahead, okay. So this is a consolidation which again is really a sort of I mean, you should not be inclined towards taking a fresh shot here, okay. Long, again, we have no confirmation as yet, and this is really late in the day, okay. But what we are seeing is, for sure, there has been some sort of sorting, I mean stopping volume or some reduction in selling pressure in this area, okay. So this doesn't mean that it's a buy straight away. What it means is, if it breaks this region, okay, somewhere around 840, it is again heading up, okay. And if it breaks this what, 700, 720, we are heading down lower. Okay, so the day obviously ends here, so we can't make much of it, but this is an area of real interest to us, which is about 740 to 800, wherein the selling pressure was being absorbed. Okay, so let's end this candle, and now do not pay much heed to this candle. Okay, this is the last one. So again, this can be a little confusing and little this information is incomplete because we have not seen any follow-up action, and this is the end of the day, so a lot of contracts are, I mean, secure at this point. Now having seen this part, okay, let's go and compare it to the previous day. We'll not discuss as much on this day, that is the 18th of August. Okay, now why are we playing this is we would like to see the difference between the 2 days. Okay, on one day there was absorption, on the other there was none. Okay, so let's start with this, okay, and play this. Okay, again, delta, you cannot be positive at this point. Okay, now it does break. Okay, what now what would be really interesting and I mean intriguing is, where do I actually think about taking a long? Okay, this is one point where you could be interested in, but for that we have to be sure that this place holds. Okay, when it comes back, it should hold and show some sort of strength. What has happened here is the delta has immediately dropped on the next candle. What we would like to see is another positive delta, a consolidation here, the price hovering around here, and then we are inclined to taking a long, because all these guys are going to get trapped if that happens, and then obviously the delta would go booming up. Okay, let's actually see what happens. Okay, so do you see what happens here? Even if you have entered a long, it's time to get out on this point where you see a delta dropping, it goes up, it's not able to sustain. Okay, this shouldn't have happened if it was actually about to go long. Okay, let's move on. Now obviously it's going to hit the new low, and now since it has come here, look at the difference. Okay, this time when it's coming close to a low, look at what is happening here. Okay, when it's coming close to a low, look, someone stepping in. Okay, now this is not what we saw for the 19th of August. In here we are seeing someone stepping in exactly at the lows. Okay, so there is our first trigger that someone is stepping in at the lows. So we would like to go long on this day, maybe. We'll see when. Okay, so what we are interested in is yes, this pullback and it coming down and confirming that it's going to hold. Okay, now this is the same thing what happened yesterday. Okay, in the later part of the day yesterday, it breaks the low. It's not broken the low, so you can expect a break of the low and some this sort of delta and a sort of accumulation that we saw over there in the later part of the day. So we're expecting this because we've seen someone stepping in, some stopping volume stepping in before. Now this is where we start forming a bias towards the long side, and if the delta holds. Okay, so let's see, the low of the day is broken here, and look what happens. Okay, this is an aggressive low, and the delta really moves down to minus 10,000 contracts almost, and what has the price done? Absolutely nothing from the lows. It's hardly 15 points. Okay, now we had seen a stepping up, I mean stopping or reduction in selling pressure somewhere here. Now we've not actually seen in terms of delta, but in terms of price, I mean there is nothing much that has happened. It's hardly 20-30 points. Okay, so a short for me at this point is an absolute no. Now this is what I was talking about. Okay, this happens 2 times, okay, when the delta drops this much first time and the delta again drops, and look at what the price is doing. Absolutely nothing. It's forming a base, okay. From this low, it's hardly about 15-20 points, this low and the second one, and look where the delta has gone from there. From this point it has gone to here, and look at what the price has done, hardly 20-30 points. This is where we start getting interested, because the huge selling pressure here is not showing up for such a long time, okay. It's already 12, it's not showing up anything. Now the guys who are going to get trapped are these ones, okay. All these guys, all these sellers are going to get trapped, okay, all these guys. Okay, let's see what happens. Again, there is an accumulation of, consolidation rather, and look at this, okay, absolutely no movement in delta. It's just stuck there. This is what I was saying on 19th. All this was never happening, such long periods of consolidation. The stopping volume came quite early in the day. On this day the price doesn't move, it comes in again, okay. So when it is happening, very close to each other, it's a signal that the selling pressure isn't as great, okay. Let's continue with this and let's see. Okay, this is the first time it enters back. Now I'm really interested in going for a long trade here, okay. It's entered back into the range, and I would enter into a long anytime. If this breaks and there is a pullback, I would go into a long, okay. So let's see what happens. It's still consolidating, but look at the delta. What is the delta doing? This is really interesting. If it was actually that strong selling, the people who absorbed have started stepping in, and they are getting aggressive on the buy side now, okay. So let's move ahead. So this is the point where we've formed a bias and we're just looking for a place to enter, okay. Doesn't break the low of the day, and look what happens. Now is the time I start getting interested, okay, because now I have got enough confirmation that the selling, this low has not been, this low has not been taken out, and although the market did come out, the delta also did not make a fresh low. So now I'm interested in going long from any of this point with a stop loss of somewhere here, okay. Let's see what happens. And this is the point where people are going to get trapped, okay, as soon as it goes above. Keep looking at the delta. Look at the way this is not only buying pressure, it's also being supported by the shorts who are covering, okay. Let's stop. This is the next day. So this is what I was trying to tell you, where we enter and we get a good risk to reward and we get our points. So this is a good confirmation when the selling has been actually absorbed and the pressure has lowered, okay. So with that we have seen the comparison between the 2 days, and when the pressure is more and the absorption is not able to take care, and when the absorption does take care and it gives a good up move, okay. That's it for today. Hopefully you guys learned something new. Until next time, bye bye.